CNN has officially launched CNN Plus, and I know all of you are clamoring just to go sign up for the subscription service. Actually, I know you're not. How do I know you're not going to rush over to CNN Plus to become a subscriber to their new service? Well, Saagar Enjeti tweets, CNN Plus already showing no confidence in their product, throwing away subs at discount rates to fake their initial sign-up numbers, shows how worthless their product is. Book clubs and parenting advice from personalities you can already get for free on CNN. Garbage. Well, there's also Chris Wallace, who left Fox News to go to CNN Plus, and CNN Plus content they're going to be trying to drive to their subscription service, and they should. I can certainly respect that from a business perspective, but for those that are wondering, what do you mean they're showing no confidence? Well, in this tweet from John Nicosia, he is the president of News Cycle Media, former managing editor at Mediaite, says, CNN Plus on launch day is already offering a 50% off for life subscription deal. A deal you can stream about. Subscribe today and get 50% off the standard monthly plan for the lifetime of your subscription. Web-only offer ends April 26, 2022. Cancel anytime. That's what Saagar Enjeti was talking about as well. Of course, you may know him from Breaking Points with Crystal Ball. 50% off for life, $2.99 monthly, down from $5.99 monthly, or their annual $59.99 per year subscription. You know what I think is happening? I think CNN launched. It's now midday, and they're like, we are not getting a lot of subscriptions. I know. Let's do a promo. Or at the very least, let's claim it's a promo. But I just want to point out, $3 a month? I don't know how they can afford that. And I sincerely mean that. I suppose the more views you get on content, the lower your membership price can be. Now, I have to just say I am sorry to everyone who watches. Because if you go over to timcast.com and you'd like to become a member to support our work and get access to only a handful of members-only shows, well, it's $10 a month. And a lot of people have said, can you make it cheaper or stuff like that? The issue is we don't get millions of views on our content on timcast.com. We get tens of thousands, sometimes close to 100,000 or but rarely. And that means that per video, CNN makes substantially more money. If CNN puts out 10 videos and they get 1 million hits each, the production cost of each of these segments is static, right? It's going to be X amount of dollars to produce a segment. If they're getting massive amounts of viewership from subscribers, or let's put it this way, simplify. You have a lot of subscribers, you can afford to have really low rates. But I know that all of you care about truth and honesty, and that CNN is garbage. So you're probably laughing at the fact they've already cut their prices in half, which probably is an indicator that things aren't going too well for them. Their ratings have been in the gutter. And if you want to support our work, you can go to timcast.com and become a member, because we're a much smaller team. We're growing. We're producing lots of cultural content. We're planning on doing more shows. We have on-the-ground reporters. And, I saw that CNN Plus was launching, and I thought people would like to know about why. This is really, really good news for all of us. For one, cat's out of the bag, CNN. Why would someone subscribe to CNN Plus? I mean, serious question. Now, I understand why people would subscribe to timcast.com. There's two big reasons. One, you genuinely want to support our journalists. Our journalists' salaries are paid for because people are members, but the news is all free, meaning you don't have to be a member. It's kind of shopping cart theory, or the shopping cart problem. That it's a little bit worse, actually. It's a little harder. Shopping cart problem is the honor of a person, or however they phrase it. But the general idea is this: when you go to a supermarket, and there's the shopping cart corral. Returning the shopping cart is the right thing to do, but there is no reward for doing it. But it also isn't that big of a convenience to spend 10 seconds walking it to the corral. The idea is that someone who is willing to do the extra bit to put the shopping cart away, that is indicative of a functioning, successful society. But when we go to supermarkets, we see everything's all strewn about. So it's similar. If you like the work we do, and you can afford the $10 a month, you become a member because you're like, I want to see more of this, I want to support this, but you don't have to. Now, in this instance, It's very different to spend $10 versus walking 10 feet. But that's kind of the issue. It's, there are a lot of people who are making sure that our site functions and can grow and we can do more work like this because that's what they want to see. I'll put it this way. If you want CNN to gain influence, support them. If you want Timcast to gain influence, support us. You'll also get access to exclusive members-only segments. But this is really good news. As I mentioned already, aside from the fact that it's showing the Emperor has no clothes, Saagar Enjeti's roasting them for offering this major discount, as is, this is funny, John Nicosia putting the monocle face, $2.99. They're already offering a for life half off. Sounds like things aren't going too well for CNN Plus. The story from Deadline just yesterday, CNN readies for its debut. Is it the next news innovation or too late from the streaming wars? My friends, I just want to rub in CNN is failing. And this will not save them. I believe that in maybe 10 or 15 years, maybe sooner, CNN, at this rate, unless they make changes, will likely be a skeleton crew, 10 people. You'll hear about it here or there. Maybe they'll put out press releases, but you're like, whatever happened to CNN? AOL America Online was so big, when I was a kid. Now what are they? Do people still use AOL.com? I guess, but who? Case in point, my friends, I give you Adweek's Sunday, March 27th scoreboard. Fox News continues to win in total day and primetime. Now, when we look at key demo viewership for CNN, Sunday, key demo from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., you can see that the best they can muster up is 5 p.m.'s newsroom with 179,000 key demo viewers. But you want to really laugh? Sorry to drag you into this, MSNBC, but we must. MSNBC's key demo viewership is as low as 35,000. Yo, they are underneath OAN and Newsmax numbers. Bravo. Now, truth be told, over at Fox News, they're getting, 200,000. I think their peak is 265,000 at 8 p.m. with Mark Levin. So this is fascinating. Now, of course, when you go to total primetime viewership, not just key demo, you can see that MSNBC is getting, they can't even crack 500,000. Wow. When you look at CNN, they break 500,000 with their best being Newsroom, once again at 855,000. Over at Fox News Channel, Mark Levin gets 2.1 million total viewers. But my friends, what you need to understand is this is not key demo. That means their total viewership is overwhelmingly 55 plus. Now, that's bad news for Fox News, too. It is good for Fox that they get more, around double, fairly often, of the key demo viewerships of CNN and like 5 times as many as MSNBC. But take a look at this. Let's say Mark Levin, 265,000 key demo viewers out of the 2.1 million. That means 1.9 million people are over 55 years old. I got some bad news for y'all. That's a large portion of the audience and economy. And while it's also similarly bad for CNN, CNN has a larger proportion of their audience being key demo. You best not think you're invincible, my friends, because I'll tell you this: when these boomers go, as much as I can complain a lot about the boomers, there's a lot of boomers that did real good. Star Trek: The Next Generation, bravo! Y'all nailed that one. Well, there are many people from the boomer generation who are holding back the tide. When they go, they pass on, cycle out, retire, etc., many of them already retired, they're going to leave us holding the bag, and we've got a lot to contend with. You think it's as simple as mocking CNN's ratings? Take a look at this from Social Blade. There's good news with CNN Plus. For me, for those of us using YouTube, a lot of really good news. But let me show you this first. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, CNN's viewership has tripled. The week before the war, 26 million views. The next week, 74 million. The next week, 88 million. Now, it's declined quite a bit and will likely go down. Of course, when the war started, everybody wanted to know CNN still has that brand power. They really do. And they're probably making a lot of money off of YouTube. 350 million views. That's crazy. CNN's estimated monthly earnings Social Blade's estimated monthly earnings for CNN, 1.4 million per month. That's crazy. I'd also like to point something out, though. The Daily Wire said that they're making, what did he say? They're making 120 million a year. I think Jeremy Boring said that on TV. I hope he said it live, and I'm not revealing it. But I'm like, you're making $10 million per month for the Daily Wire. That's what the Daily Wire's pulling in. This is just YouTube for CNN. They make money in other places. CNN is still massive. But this move to CNN Plus is seriously good news. CNN knows you can't just rely on a third-party platform like YouTube to make money. They also know ad rates are going to be harder to come. Ads are going to be harder to come by because of the mass market saturation. CNN, of course, is then going to try to muster up paying monthly subscribers with CNN Plus. When they're charging $3, it shows nobody wants to watch your garbage. I'll put it this way. I know timcast.com is $10 a month and some people can't afford it. And for that, I apologize. The cost of production, the cost of expansion, we're trying as hard as we can. But also consider this. For every one person who signs up for timcast.com, you represent 3 people supporting CNN. Now, CNN still has more pull on YouTube. They still have, we were close. There was a period where in 2020, we were getting across with my shows 100 million plus. I think we peaked like 120 million downloads. Granted, I was working weekends and I was doing double the work on the morning show. I was doing 3 additional segments and I've chilled out because my brain was about to explode and I'm just one person. But for every one person to sign up, you are countering 3 people to sign up. And that's the important thing here. You take issue with what CNN does? I know I do. You think they're trash? Oh, I think so. If you agree, every 3 people they sign up, we need but 1 to have the same impact. Now, we don't have the same reach as they do, but we also have another advantage. What drives someone to sign up for CNN? Passively interested in the news? Is it a core product or a belief? No. CNN is generic garbage. But for timcast.com, I know that the people, for the most part, not every single person, who signs up for timcast.com does it because the product they're hoping to achieve is cultural change. That's amazing. And I take that to heart, and that is my mission. So when someone says, I'm going to be a member at timcast.com, there's a decent amount of people who are like, I want to watch that Steve Bannon interview that Tim did. I want to see what they talk about behind the scenes. And that's all they care about. We get a lot of emails from people saying, we get complaints. We get people saying, it's not worth it. Totally get it. Under no obligation. But we get a lot of people saying, I will sign up and give more than $10. We have a lot of people who give 20. We have some people who even give hundreds of dollars by choice. Because the real thing people are trying to buy is countering the establishment narrative from CNN. And the reason I think ultimately this is good news, there are a lot of people who are unwilling to pay for CNN's garbage. They're only going to CNN because they're like, where else do I go for news? Because CNN has that brand power. Whether you like them or not, they do. So when war breaks out, people go on YouTube. And 2 things happen. 1, people search Ukraine war CNN. The other thing is that YouTube puts CNN on the front page to help them. I am extremely excited for CNN to retreat to their CNN Plus platform. Granted, they're trying to do like members-only special content like Jake Tapper's book club, which is the stupidest thing ever. And Fox Nation, of course, has something similar. But I do believe both Fox News and CNN are going to be focusing on putting their content on their own platform they control, which means as these authoritative news sources begin bailing out off of YouTube, regular people who just Google search looking for news have nowhere else to go but here. And to shows like, Jimmy Dore or Kyle Kalinske or Steven Crowder or David Pakman, whether left or right. You don't have to like any of those people. The point is, we're going to start absorbing the views from CNN as they try and drive their audience off the platform. Now, it's not a 100% thing. I do think ultimately this should be a message to YouTube. You're going to lose CNN. Every single major streaming network, what did they do? The Office used to be on Netflix. Netflix had Marvel shows. Why don't they anymore? Because Disney Plus launched. Disney said, why are we putting our shows on someone else's platform? We've got a whole library of content. Let's put it on our own. And they pull their shows down from Netflix. Netflix suffers for it. I think it's fascinating, actually, that I've been watching Legends of Tomorrow on Netflix. Why not on, HBO Max, where they have all the DC content? Maybe because Warner Brothers doesn't have the CW content. Regardless, the point is, CNN is going to say, when we run an ad on CNN, we get 100% of the revenue. When we run an ad on YouTube, we get what? 65, 70? CNN may have a special deal with YouTube where they get 80 or 90. I don't know. The point is, you keep more money when the ads are your own website. CNN has every reason to pull off of YouTube, as does Fox and every other major network. We don't have that same incentive. Here's what I think happens next. The censorship starts to evaporate. Not for everybody. I certainly think YouTube wants to crush the little guy and pull up the ladder behind everybody else. It's almost like I and many others are running as the floor falls out behind us and smaller creators get engulfed and are unable to cross because there's no ground anymore. But for me, as long as I keep running and growing, I will outpace the collapse. I think YouTube wants to pull the ladder up. However, they also want to maintain an audience. If we are moving towards multiple streaming services as the future, how long until we get a service called like Bonder, and it'll be like, pay a simple fee of, $79.99 a month, and you get access to all of the streaming services? Maybe something like that already exists. It's what cable used to be. It's kind of weird that we're there. Cable was, we pay one fee, and then all of the channels get a cut for being on that network. Now, everyone's just paying $10 for this, $10 for that. Prices go up, prices go down. CNN lowering their prices says to me that they're particularly worried. They're not going to be able to get enough people. I'll put it this way. CNN just launched. It's possible they had such a massive influx of subscribers, they said, we can afford to drop the price. I doubt it. If you were charging $6 a month for your service and you were slammed with subscribers, you'd be like, we should have charged more. No joke. We should have charged more than $6. People clearly want it. But if people don't want it and your numbers are bad, you got to cut the price. CNN's going to do everything in their power to pull people off YouTube. YouTube will have no choice but to come to creators like me or Crowder or everyone I mentioned and be like, what can we do to make it safe for you because we don't want to lose to CNN? I don't want to work for CNN. I like the fact that I get to do my thing, but I'll also shout out Rumble. I tell all new creators, don't bother with YouTube. Start on Rumble. Why? Dan Bongino has more subscribers on Rumble than he did on YouTube before YouTube banned him. And if YouTube wants to ban individual and independent creators for their opinions and you can go to Rumble, then do it. YouTube is only digging its own grave because the only things keeping them afloat, these big channel shows, they're going to pull off the platform. Granted, YouTube may end up being Netflix, like they've always wanted, and they'll have 10 shows. It'll be Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, and I don't know, who else is there? The Nelk Boys. Like, what are some other big channels? I don't know, Minecraft stuff. They'll have that. They'll have a small handful of creators, and their revenue will be in the gutter. The end of YouTube. Because they've so desperately pandered to CNN. I love it. CNN comes out and says, these far-right, the mainstream media who hated YouTube, beat them over the head, and YouTube caved, and now they're all going to jump ship. And they're not going to produce content on your platform, YouTube. So who are you loyal to, YouTube? Who are you going to be loyal to? Those of us who consistently produce on your platform, even in spite of the abuse and the disrespect you give us, or CNN, who will jump ship at a moment's notice while pissing all over your face. You better believe that CNN will leverage everything in its power to say that YouTube is evil, wrong, and far right. Why? They want to drive viewers to their platform. They want YouTube shut down. CNN certainly has reach. CNN will come out and say, we're leaving YouTube because it's a haven for the far right, and YouTube won't address the hate speech. I'm not saying they literally will. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if CNN came out and said, we don't think that we should be putting our content on a platform that endorses white nationalism and racism. YouTube, of course, has two choices. They can be morons and say, you're right, we're so sorry, please. Or they can say, our creators aren't any of those things. Screw you and goodbye. We will see. YouTube has no incentive to prop up CNN when CNN is already going to smear them. But the truth is, YouTube never had that incentive, and CNN was always going to smear them. And YouTube is just too dumb. Unless it's all political, I suppose. Now, there is one potential I want to point out. Some are saying that what CNN is doing is testing various prices in various markets to see how many subscribers they'll get at $3, at $6, and at $10. I don't know if that's exactly true because the discount isn't related to A/B testing. Unless it is, unless their idea is we've got people we're offering for $3, people for $6, people for $10, and then some people, it says $6, but with a discount to see. And then what you do is you say, 100,000 signed up at $3, 75 at $5, and 50 at $10. Well, stands to reason one of those is worth more than the other. If you have 100K people at $3, but 50K at $10, you're best off taking the 50K at $10. That may be what CNN is doing. So don't get your hopes up. We don't know exactly, why CNN is doing what they're doing. But I will say, I believe this is a huge punch in the gut to YouTube, and they better start paying attention. We're making a Timcast app, right? But we use YouTube infrastructure for a reason. Now, truth be told, I very well could just move everything over to my website, independently publish all of these videos, and not worry about YouTube at all. We could switch to Rumble. But for the time being, YouTube is offering us something at value, and that is free marketing. And seriously, I have done zero marketing on any of my political content. It's organic growth. And a lot of people who are browsing YouTube get recommended my content. It didn't used to be that way. YouTube was censoring me, and they backed off. So there is a good relationship here. However, let me say this, YouTube. If I got 100% of all of the ads that ran on my content, I could take 35% towards marketing, and I would not need you to prop up my content because it's costing me money. You see how that works? So YouTube better get its act together. I want YouTube to be a space for merit and meritocracy in this world of corporate media. There needs to be a way for regular people to prove themselves, and this is it. But YouTube's been sacrificing it to fillet CNN and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post, and it's time to stop. I think we're looking at some good news, and I think CNN sucks. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.